Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a bizarre behavioral experiment that is probably going to completely change how you view your own self-control. It's called the Foldable Phone Challenge, and it tackles the age-old myth of willpower. We've all been told that willpower is a muscle, right? A personal virtue, a superpower that separates the successful from the lazy. But what if that entirely misses the mark? So, take a second. Do you think you actually have strong willpower, especially when it comes to resisting the constant buzzing lure of your smartphone? We all kind of like to think that if we really put our minds to it, we can resist any temptation. We picture ourselves stoically ignoring distractions. But, as we're about to see through the incredibly clever design of this experiment, our self-perception here is heavily flawed. When the right combination of physical annoyance and mental temptation hits, even the absolute most disciplined among us can crumble in spectacularly funny ways. Phase 1. The Foldable Phone Challenge. The researchers here didn't use extreme pain or impossible tasks. Instead, they designed a highly specific environment where participants had to endure a super awkward physical posture while suppressing their digital habits. Here's the slightly absurd setup. Step 1. You sit in a chair holding a foldable phone half open, like a tiny laptop, at exactly 90 degrees using both hands. You can't open it fully, and you cannot snap it shut. It takes constant, delicate finger strength. Step 2. Both feet go on a footrest. But here's the kicker. Every 5 minutes, this footrest tilts up. It gradually shifts from a mild 15 degrees to a straining 30 degrees, putting an increasing, irritating load on your ankles. And step 3, you have to maintain this exact posture and watch a video for exactly 1 hour. The trap. Boring math and funny cats. Now, the real psychological torture is in the content itself. The researchers set a brilliant trap. For the first 10 minutes, you're forced to watch an incredibly dry, boring math lecture. Your ankles are tilted, your fingers are locked at 90 degrees, and you're literally bored to tears. Then, out of nowhere, the video switches to hilarious, fast-paced cat videos. Instinctively, your brain is screaming at you to unfold the screen to see the funny cats larger, or just to fold it back and hold it more comfortably. Enduring the challenge versus quitting for instant comfort. This is where the core mechanic kicks in. The rule is simple. If you adjust that hinge at all, you fail. You don't get zapped or anything extreme, but you failed the challenge. But here's the thing. The moment you fail, that steeply angled footrest instantly drops back down to a perfectly flat, perfectly comfortable 0 degrees. So, as you endure, your hands shake, your ankles ache, your boredom fights with your amusement, and the discomfort just keeps rising. But quitting? Quitting offers an immediate, incredibly satisfying physical reward of pure comfort. Phase 2, hilarious personality reactions. This seemingly simple setup perfectly isolated how different temperaments handle physical strain, showing us that we all break down in totally unique ways. The data mapping on these reactions is honestly comedy gold. Take the perfectionists. They push themselves to the absolute brink, making it to 58 minutes, but then self-declare failure because they think the phone angle slipped by half a centimeter, and they literally burst into tears. Then you have the impulsive types. They last exactly 3 minutes before snapping the phone open, laughing and saying, "I just want to be comfortable." The avoiders, they wait until the footrest clicks up a notch at 10 minutes, then dramatically stop, claiming they think they sprained an ankle. And my personal favorites, the sensation seekers. Around 20 minutes, when they get bored, they start wiggling the hinge just to play on the boundary of failure for the thrill of it. Phase 3, the 60-minute breakdown, because as that footrest gets steeper and the phone gets heavier, human dignity basically leaves the room over the course of an hour. Let's look at the timeline here. At 5 minutes, everyone is confident, flexing their fingers, lightly shaking the phone, thinking, this is incredibly easy. By 25 minutes, reality sets in. The footrest is climbing, and participants are literally twitching their toes, trying to invent new ways to grip the angled board. 35 minutes? The cat videos are playing. Faces are turning bright red, trying to hold back laughter, while hands are trembling to maintain that 90-degree angle. By 45 minutes, it's pure desperation. People are resting the hinge of the phone against their sweaty foreheads just to relieve their burning fingers, mumbling to themselves, "Why did I sign up for this?" And at 60 minutes, the few remaining survivors are often brought to tears, with some heartbreakingly giving up mere seconds before the buzzer. But the moments of failure are what make this study truly unforgettable. Imagine a participant who fights tooth and nail to the 45-minute mark. Their legs are doing that invisible chair tremble because the angle is so steep. Finally, their fine motor control just gives out, the phone snaps shut, and instantly, whoosh, the footrest drops flat. The relief is so euphoric that one person actually shouted, "Ah, I'm so happy! Can I try again?" completely forgetting they just failed the test. The immediate physical reward of comfort totally overrode the mental goal of succeeding. Phase 4, the truth about willpower. Beneath all the absolute comedy of watching people wrestle with a phone, the researchers were driving at a profound underlying point. When the dust settled, the data revealed a staggering 90 to 95% failure rate. Now, it is so easy to look at that tiny 5 to 10% who succeeded and think, wow, they are the disciplined elite. But the researchers asked a much better question. Are they actually superhuman, or did they just have a biological advantage? Well, it turns out success in this challenge wasn't actually about raw moral willpower at all. It was just a lucky combination of physical traits and environmental alignment. Who were that successful 5%? They were people who happened to have naturally great ankle flexibility, or maybe they just consumed the perfect amount of caffeine that day. They had temperaments with naturally high pain tolerance, or they were immune to boredom, so the math video didn't even faze them. Plus, they had superior fine motor skills. Maybe they were mechanics or musicians, meaning balancing a delicate hinge was just physically easier for their muscles. It definitely wasn't just mind over matter. Change the conditions, change the winners. The researchers noted that if you tweak the setup, you completely change who wins. Imagine if, instead of a sleek, slippery phone, they put grip stickers on the back. Suddenly, people with weaker hand strength succeed. Or what if, instead of a boring math lecture, the video played the participants' favorite music? Those impulsive, easily bored personalities who quit at 3 minutes, they might have happily tapped their ankled feet and cruised through the whole hour. Old view versus new view. This brilliantly illustrates our ultimate paradigm shift. The old view tells us willpower is a personal superpower, an isolated character trait you either have or you don't. But the new view, proven by tilting footrests and funny cat videos, is that willpower is nothing more than temporary environmental alignment. It's like a giant puzzle. When your physical capability, your personal temperament, and the specific demands of your environment all temporarily click together perfectly, we call that willpower. When they clash, we call it a failure of self-control. Which leaves us with a truly transformative way to look at our own habits. We spend so much energy beating ourselves up for lacking discipline or judging other people for not having the grit to stick to a goal. But maybe the problem isn't a lack of moral fiber. Maybe the setup is just wrong. So the next time you find yourself or someone else failing to maintain a habit or resist a temptation, ask yourself this provocative question. Before judging someone's willpower, should we just adjust their footrest? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep examining the world around you and remember to look at the environment, not just the individual.